studying about the cultivation of these two, particularly these two types of mushrooms that are grown in different places of our country. First one is white button mushroom. From the itself, I guess you all have picturized this mushroom in your mind. Yes or no? Mushroom with a pin head. The mushroom that consists of a head like head of a pin. The mushroom that resembles a bigger pin in a structure, that is white button mushroom. So basically, white button mushroom, the scientific name of white button mushroom is a Agaricus bisporus. Agaricus bisporus is the scientific name of white button mushroom that can be or that are grown in different places of our country. This particular mushroom generally is very, very rich in varieties of the nutritions, as well as this can be grown in different places. This can be grown in wide ranges of the environment. It can be grown in extreme conditions of the environment, and basically in most of the places these mushrooms can be easily grown, and it is one of the very popular mushrooms that are grown in different places of our country. Inside the Kathmandu Valley, Bhaktapur, as well as in Lalitpur districts, huge amount of these mushrooms are grown every year. So it is one of the most popular variety, most cultivated varieties mushroom among the world, as well as inside the territory of our country as well. These white button mushrooms are small to medium in size. The white button mushrooms are smaller in size, and some of the button mushrooms are medium in size. We cannot find the very, very large overgrown white button mushrooms in different places, as they tentatively grows from small to medium in size, whose caps generally average in whose caps generally is 2 to 7 centimeters in diameters. And are basically attached to a stem. They are basically attached to a very, very stem. And both of these are very strong. They are dense. They are thick. They are smooth as well as in nature. And they can provide us with huge varieties of the benefits. These mushrooms that are grown in different places of our country consist of different benefits. As we have already studied the advantages and benefits of the mushroom, the mushroom also provides us with different types of benefits. It is an oxidant. It requires it has huge amount of potassium and sodium to our body that is extremely necessary to increase the immunity of our body. Similarly, it helps to provide us with the amino acids, vitamin B, and many other substances are given by the white button mushroom. We can say they are very rich in nutritional value. They are very, very rich in varieties of the nutrition needed for the human beings to prosper their life healthily and free from varieties of diseases. So these white button mushrooms that are found in different places of our country, they have higher nutritional value. They can provide us with different varieties of the nutrition that is needed for our body, including phosphorus, zinc, folate, manganese, potassium, selenium, and many more minerals that is needed for our body is provided by this particular mushroom. These mushrooms, that is white button, can be found in, as I've already told, they can grow of the places. They can varieties of the places, particularly worldwide. They grow in the field that consist of larger amount of grassy areas that can provide us with huge amount of rainfall. The place where the huge amount of rainfall occurs from late spring through the autumn. So especially in these places, these mushrooms can be grown, as well as these also require huge amount of manure for their growth and development. Without the proper amount of chemicals, without the proper amount of the manure, these white button mushrooms cannot be grown in larger number of the place. Larger number of the white button as well as larger amount of lookalikes can be found in our surrounding environment, which is very, very poisonous to the body of a individual person, that cannot be eaten by the individual person, which can cause deadly reactions to our body. So basically, for the cultivation of the white button mushroom, there are several procedures. Several procedures are to be followed for the cultivation of white button mushrooms. The white button mushrooms, generally, as I've already told you, they grow in the best compost manure. They require the best compost manure for the growth and development of the button mushroom, but they can also be several other varieties of the substances. Other varieties of the substances simply means they can be grown with the help of the straw. They can be grown with the help of the straw as well as with the help of the sawdust also. These mushrooms can be grown without any difficulty. It requires several steps for the growth and development of mushrooms. The steps are gradually listed here. That is, first of all, the spawn production. Good variety of the spawn is very, very important, very, very necessary for the growth and development of best quality of the mushroom. The spawn production process or spawn production simply is the formation of the mycelia, which is the seed for the growth and development of good varieties of mushroom. Spawn generally refers to the mushroom spores or the mushroom seeds that helps in growth and development of a new plant. The production can be done artificially or can be done inside the laboratory, or they can be done by the individual person in their own houses following the varieties of the procedures. The spawn that has a good texture, spawn that has a good flavor, spawn that has a good size can produce huge amounts of white button mushroom as well as they can also bring growth and production of the white button mushroom without any difficulty. So during the spawn production, selection of spores as well as a proper procedure for the growth and development of the spawn is very, very necessary, because this is one of the very important part for the growth of the mushroom, as it is the seed of the mushroom, as it is the spore of the mushroom. Without the mycelium, without the proper spawn production, we cannot commercially huge amount of the mushrooms in our agricultural land. For the spawn production, we should select best varieties of the compost manure. We should construct a pile of a compost manure that may consist of the horse dung, or that may consist of the straw. Besides that, several types of are to be prepared that basically comprises of calcium carbonate. Similarly, the water and limited amount of water should also be provided for the better production of the spawn in a particular agricultural land. So for the production of the spawn, for the proper production of the spawn, selection of the places where we are being, as well as selection of the places very, very important. The next point to be considered for the spawn production, we need the good varieties of the compost manure. Without the good variety of the compost manure, we cannot grow the mushrooms properly, whether it is a white button mushroom or it is a oyster mushroom. Though it is much more easier to grow the oyster mushroom, it also requires an amount of the compost manure. Certain preparation of the compost manure should be done. So for the preparation of the compost manure, generally we require the best substrate selection, that what type of substances should be selected for the preparation of the compost, so that enough amount of nutrients can be obtained by the mushrooms, obtained by the spawn of the mushroom. So for that purpose, we require the horse dung or the straw, the waste materials or the nutritional organic straw in the form of the straw, in the form of the horse dung, or in the form of any type of plant waste should be mixed properly. They should be compiled properly. We should construct a pile of these substances, pile of the mixture of the plant waste, salt, supplements like bran, water. They should be mixed properly for providing the best manure. Besides this, pile of the straw, in the pile of the horse dung, or in the pile of the bran that we have prepared, we should add 1 kg of the calcium carbonate per 100 kg of material. हर एक 100 kg material में से हमने कति हाल्नु पर्छ त 1 kg of calcium carbonate should be added. And then after that, we should spray certain amount of water in the pile of the mixture of this chemical as well as mixture of the straw. We should spray water till it leaks out from the stack of the particular particular pile of straw and the mixture. After we have placed the paddy in a certain layer and sufficient amount of water is added to the stack should be kept for certain days. Stack should be kept for certain days. Telling you the method of preparation of compost manure for the growth and development of the white button mushroom. So first of all, we should place the paddy, we should pile up the paddy, straw or the horse dung in a particular place. After that, we need to add the chemical. The chemical necessarily should be calcium carbonate. For each 100 kgs of the pile of the straw, we should add at least 1 of calcium carbonate, and then it should be tackled with the water, or sufficient amount of water should be mixed, sprayed to the stack till the water leaks from the stack. After that, we should leave this mixture for certain days, certain period of time, and after certain period of time, the regular turning of the piles should be done. Regular turning of the stack, regular turning of the mixture be done till good varieties of the mixtures are produced. We need to turn the pile in the regular basis. That is, after we have sprayed the water on the first day, the first turning of the pile should be done on the 16th. That we have mixed the chemical and the straw and spray the water. We need to leave it for 6 days, and in the 6th day, we need to turn the stack. And this process should be repeated after certain days. Should be repeated on the 10th day. It should be repeated on the 13th day. We turn the pile on the day after 10 to turn the. And during the process of turning of the compost, the compost, but we should not add too much of the water like in the beginning. We need to add salt to it so that the bacteria that are present in the stack may be killed. After that, we need to spray certain amount of water, but excess amount of water also should not be added. We should not add the water. We should not add huge amount of water. That is, we should not let the water from the pile that we have made. We should add the water, but the feeling of dryness should also be present in the stack of the particular straw. So after doing that, again, it should be done over again in the 16th day, in the 19th day, and finally on the 20th day, it should be done. And during this process, we should certain period of time after 20, our compost will be completely free from ammonia. It does not contain the harmful chemical like ammonia that can reduce the growth and development of the mycelium of mushroom. So after 20 days, our compost will be very ready to utilize in the mushroom farming. Under this extreme climatic condition, under the extreme climatic condition, we need to protect these compost inside a plastic seed. We should keep it inside a plastic seed, and then the compost will be ready. It will be free from ammonia, and we can easily sow the spawn or spread the spawn on the compost pile itself. So after we have done this, after we have done all of these things, we need to take these compost manures, we need to take the compost that we have prepared and place it inside the plastic, inside any airtight container. In the airtight container, after we have done this, another process is to be followed, that is spawning process. After the compost manure is ready, we need to lay it in a dark room, or we need to place it inside the plastic bag, and slowly and gradually the sponge should be mixed to the compost manure. We need to mix the sponge to the compost manure so that it can get the enough amount of moisture, enough amount of nutrients that is needed for the growth and development of the particular mushroom that can grow and develop into the mycelia and can be harvested without any difficulty. So basically, after the compost manure is prepared, we need to move further and go towards the spawning process. Spawning process is simply the process in which we mix the spun of the white button mushroom to a compost manure. It should be mixed thoroughly. The spun should be mixed thoroughly, or the mushroom seeds should mix thoroughly in the compost manure, and then it should be let ride for a certain period of time. After the spot is mixed, the another process should be followed by the person who is growing the mushroom. That is, the person should do the spun running. Spun running simply a process in which spun running is simply is a process in which those mixture of the compost manure and the spun of the mushroom is filled inside a polythene bag. Take a polythene bag, clean polythene bag, sterilized polythene bag that do not contain any type of microorganism, that do not contain any type of bacteria in this, and then fill the plastic bag mushroom spun with the mixture of the mushroom and the compost, and then make small holes, make very small holes in the plastic bag, so that the moisture as well as the aeration can in the air can regularly pass through those particular holes that are present in the plastic bag. At this stage, the temperature should also be maintained. We should also notice the temperature of the particular room in which we are going to keep the mushroom, in which we are going to keep the spawn of the mushroom. At this period of time, the temperature should be 22 to 25 degrees centigrade, and humidity of the room should be 90%. After we have finished this, the next process comes is the casing process. Casing simply is making the bed the mushroom. Casing simply is making the beds, making the bedding for the proper growth and development of the mushrooms without any difficulty. Casing is also important if we want to grow the better varieties of the mushroom. If we cannot do the proper casing, if we cannot do the proper if we cannot do the proper casing of the mushrooms, if we cannot make the proper bedding for the mushrooms, we cannot cover it properly, then the good varieties of the white button mushrooms cannot be growth and developed properly. Casing simply is the layer of the compost manure with the soil. When we layer the compost manure with the soil, this process is regarded as the casing process. So, in casing process, after we have placed the compost manure with the stones, with the seeds of the mushroom in a plastic bag or in a tray, we need to add the layer of the soil. The layer of the soil should be 3 to 4 centimeter in thickness, so that it can induce the proper fruiting of the white button mushrooms. The casing material should be prepared in such a way that it has enough pores. If the pores are not present, the water that is sprayed in the mixture will not be reaching the compost manure and the mixture of the spun. Besides that, the proper aeration also cannot be provided. So the materials that we select, the soils that we select, should have the good water holding capacity. It should have proper water holding capacity, and at this period of time, the temperature should be maintained about 23 to 28 degree centigrade with a humidity of 85 to 90%. And then we should leave the mushrooms as it is for 8 to 10 days. And in these 8 to 10 days, after 8 to 10 days, we can see the fruiting of the white button mushroom. That is, after 10 days, we can see the pin head starts to grow and develop from the button mushrooms, and it starts to lick outside, it starts to come outside from the small made in the plastic bag, or if we have layered it in the trays, it begins to develop and grow, it begins to come out of the soil that is present in the plastic, is present in any type of trays. And after certain days, after these of the fruiting of the head of the mushrooms are ready to harvest. We can harvest it, we can clean it and directly supply it to the market areas. Clear? Clear everyone? Clear up to here?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So,
Yes, sir.
in growth and development of the white button mushroom, we should be very careful in taking the good variety of the spawn. First of all, we should be very careful in taking the good varieties and spawn. And second thing that we need to follow properly is the compost preparation. If we cannot prepare the good varieties of the compost, हामीले the good compost को राम्रो भेराइटीहरू बनाउन सकेनौँ भने पनि the mushrooms will not grow and develop properly. So first of all, we need to take good varieties of the seeds, good varieties of the spores of the mushrooms that can be obtained from the labs. After that, we need to thoroughly prepare the compost. After compost is prepared, in 22nd day it will be ready, it will be free from ammonia, and after it is prepared well, we need to mix the spawn with the compost. After that, the particular temperature and humidity of the room should be maintained properly, otherwise the mushrooms will not grow and develop properly. It should be placed in the plastic bags, polythene bags or tray, and then mixed with the layers of the soil. The 3 to 4 centimeter of the soil should be added that consists of the proper water holding capacity, and it should be kept for 8 to 10 days. After those periods of time, our mushrooms will develop, the third pinhead starts to, and it will be ready to harvest and supply into the market area. Now, next mushroom that is grown in different places of our country is the oyster mushroom. Oyster mushroom is also regarded as Pleurotus oysteratus. Oyster mushroom is also known as Pleurotus oysteratus. The scientific name of the oyster mushroom is Pleurotus oysteratus, which is also known as oyster fungus or oyster mushroom. It is also the common edible mushrooms that are found in different places of our country. Throughout the world, the cultivation of the oyster mushroom is as popular as the cultivation of the white button mushroom. Since the spawn of these two types of mushrooms are easily available, they are not very expensive to buy, as well as they can provide huge amount of nutritional benefits. People tentatively grow these types of mushrooms in different places of the world. It was first cultivated in Germany. It was first cultivated during the World War I in Germany so that they can fulfill the supply of the food for the world. As the world was suffering from scarcity of the food materials during the World War I, Germany was the first country to cultivate the oyster mushroom in order to reduce the scarcity of the food material. So these oyster mushrooms generally comprises, it do not have the proper pinhead structure. It generally comprises of the broad fan-like headache. The broad fan or oyster-shaped cap is present at the upper portion of the body or at the upper portion of the stem. Like in white button mushroom, it also comprises of the stem and it also comprises of the head. But the difference is this mushroom generally has a broad fan or the oyster-shaped cap that generally is 5 to 25 centimeter. It generally is 5 to 25 centimeter. Besides these, the oyster mushroom is one of the mushroom that generally comprises of varieties of the color. It may be present in the white color, it may be present in gray color, or it may be present in the brown color. So several varieties of the oyster mushrooms can be found in our surrounding environment. These oyster mushrooms generally are fleshy in nature. Besides these, they can easily be digested without any difficulty. Similarly, they can also provide us with varieties of the nutritional benefits that is needed for our body. This mushroom do not require the huge compost preparation for its growth and development. This mushroom generally can be grown in different places or different varieties of the region, and this can be easily grown in the straw. By simply utilizing the straw, we can easily grow the oyster mushrooms without any difficulty. Basically, these oyster mushrooms can be grown in varieties of the places, as I've already told you. They can be grown in the trees, they can be grown in the uh, moist land, or they can be grown in different places, but use varieties of these mushrooms grown in the decaying and dying trees as the saprophytic animals or saprophytic organism. They do not help in decomposition of the trees, but they generally help in decomposing the dead and decaying trees, dead and drying hardwood trees that are present in varieties of the places, because of which it is able to return the necessary materials, necessary minerals to the ecosystem that is needed for the plants and organisms to grow and develop properly. This also requires certain varieties of the methods for growth and development of the oyster mushroom. Generally, for the growth and development of the oyster mushroom, we need to prepare the straw. The straw should be prepared like we have prepared the compost for the white button mushroom. The straw that is needed for growth and development of the oyster mushroom should be prepared properly. For that purpose, we need to take the piles of the straw. The straw may be of any type of plant. Straw may be from the paddy, it may be from the wheat, it may be of the plant, or it may be of the mustard plant. The dried form of the dried varieties of these substances is regarded as the straw. So we should come straws of varieties of the plant, and then after we have piled up the straws should be cut down into small pieces. The straws are cut down into smaller pieces and sterilized so that the bacteria that are present in the straws can be killed and best varieties of the mushrooms can be grown, so that the spawn of the mushroom do not die because of the bacteria that may be present in the straw. So for purpose, the straws are cut down into smaller pieces, at least 2 to 2.5 feet. After that, we need to soak it inside the water. The cutted straw, the smaller pieces of the straws are soaked into the water and cleaned for 3 to 4 times. After we have cleaned it, washed it for 3 to 4 times, we need to completely drain the water that is present inside the straw. Now, after removing the water from the straw, we need to heat the straw for 30 to 60 minutes. We need to heat the straw for 30 to 60 minutes at the temperature of around 40 to 75 degree centigrade. 70 देखिए 75 degree centigrade को temperature में. We need to keep it inside a vessel and we need to heat the straw for 30 to 60 minutes. After that, the heat will be extinguished and the straw should be let down, or straw should be placed in a proper place to cool properly. But to cool the straw, we should select such place that has been sterilized. If we keep it in a dirty place, again the bacteria and microorganisms will be attacking in the straw itself. So the place should be sterilized and we should let the straw cool for a period of time. Once the straw cools down, we need to take a bigger and very, very stronger plastic bags. Robust plastic bag means stronger plastic bags, and then place the straw inside the plastic bag or pack the straw inside the plastic bag. After we have done that, the next step is to equally distribute the spawn throughout the straw, or mix the spawn inside the straw so that can develop properly. After we have mixed the spawn inside the mixture, inside the straw, make the holes in the plastic bags with the help of the several types of sterilized nails that are present in our surrounding environment. But the holes should not be very closer to each other. We should at least maintain the gap of 3 inches from each of the holes, so that the oxygen will be able to pass inside the plastic bag and the mycelia will be able to grow and develop properly. After we have finished this procedure, we need to keep the plastic bag in the dark room that consists of a temperature of 25 to 30 degree centigrade. These temperatures should be maintained properly, otherwise the mycelia cannot grow and develop properly. Now we need to at least wait for 1 to 3 weeks. Depending upon the time frame. That is, in the winter season, the growth and development of this will be different, and in the summer season, growth and development of the mushroom will be different. So, depends on the time frame whether we are doing the cultivation in the winter season or in the summer season. We need to wait for 1 to 3 weeks. After 1 to 3 weeks, we'll be able to see that the spun that we have originally mixed with the straw is developed into the mycelia, and they are growing as the cluster. They are growing as the cluster, and their heads are spawning. Their heads are generally coming out from the holes that we have made in the plastic bag. After that, we need to remove those mycelia from the plastic bag, and it should be placed in a sterilized wooden plank, and then they will be ready to harvest and supplied into the market areas. So basically, the growth and development of white button mushrooms are somehow similar with each other. Only the compost preparation process will be different from one another. One require the use mixture of the growth development of white button mushroom. We need to prepare the compost manure, adding different types of chemicals, adding calcium carbonate or the salt for the killing of the bacteria, killing of the microorganism. Whereas for the compost preparation of the oyster mushroom, we need to boil it properly, wash it properly, and sterilize it by boiling it, so that the bacteria that are present, microorganisms that are present in the mushrooms can be reduced, or they can be killed to 100%. Besides this, the temperature that is kept for the temperature is separated for these two types of mushrooms are also different. The temperature in which the white button mushrooms can be grown is 22 to 25 degrees centigrade, whereas for the oyster mushroom, it should be kept in a temperature of 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. It requires 8 to 10 days for the white button mushrooms to form the pinhead or form the mycelia, whereas it requires about 1 to 3 weeks or still a week for the proper growth and distribution of the oyster mushroom. We do not require to case the casing is not required for growth and development of the oyster mushroom. Casing is extremely important for the white button mushroom, but the casing is not required for growth and development of the oyster mushroom. So after we have kept it in the dark room for several days and maintained several criteria for growth and development of the mushrooms, we can harvest the mushroom, and it can easily be supplied to the market area. It can easily be sold in the market area without any difficulty. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any problem up to here?
No, ma'am.
Are you sure? Okay. So with this particular chapter is finished. Mushroom farming is finished. Now your work for next time is to complete the exercise of this particular lesson.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Exercise नि
हजुर के भन्नुभएको? Yes, what are you saying? I've given the project of mushroom farming.
Yes, ma'am. That ma'am the cultivation process को लेखेर बनाउने भन्छ थियो त oyster र दुईटै white button के.
Okay. So cultivation method मा जसरी तिमीहरुको बुकमा दिएको छ नि, the simple procedure is given in the book. Yes or no? So you can write those simple procedure, and you can also add several points in that.
म्याम पनि हाम्रो त्यो एक्सरसाइजमा पनि के त्यो दुईटा क्वेशन दिएको छ अनि हामीले कपमा पनि गर्नुपर्छ प्रोजेक्ट वर्क पनि बनाउनु पर्छ.
हजुर दुईटै पर्यो. ओके
म्याम.
मैम
के को ओके साइन्सको टिस्यु प्रोजेक्ट वर्क पनि त्यस्तै सिमिलर नै हो. एनिमल टिस्यु र प्लान्ट टिस्युमा डिफरेन्शिएट गर्ने, अनि एनिमलको भेरियस टिस्यु हुन्छ, प्लान्टको पनि भेरियस टिस्यु हुन्छ. यु निड टु राइट अबाउट those various tissues in plants and animals. Describe that along with the diagram. Tissues को बारेमा लेख्ने जस्तै एनिमलमा भएको टिस्युजहरु इपिथेलियम सिमिलरली प्लान्ट टिस्युजहरु पनि भेराइटिज अफ प्लान्ट टिस्युजहरु प्रेजेन्ट हुन्छ त्यसको टाइप्सहरु लेख्ने टाइप्स लेखिसकेपछि त्यसको बारेमा सर्टेन प्याराग्राफ लेख्ने एन्ड देन नीड टु draw the figure and submit. Okay.